Hey everybody, Cathy McLeish back here again, and we're doing a series on alcoholism with our partners. And when I say alcoholism, it could be heavy drinking. Is she an alcoholic? Is he an alcoholic? I'm just not sure, so I'm gonna watch this video. So you got yourself an angry partner. Are you an angry partner? Because if you're angry and you add alcohol to it, it's like putting a match on gasoline. And I may say, I'm not angry. I'm only angry when she spends too much money. I'm only angry when he makes me jealous. I'm only angry when he makes me look like a fool in front of my friends or my family. And let me talk about that, because we are human beings and we run on instincts. And we have instincts, social, sexual, financial. We have instincts in order to protect ourselves. That's how we get through life. We maneuver through life, and when those things come up, we deal with them. Are we threatened? Is our safety threatened? Is our, finances, are our finances threatened? So anyways, if you don't deal with any of that, which as a practicing alcoholic, I never did, those were really delicate topics. And when I drank, somehow, when you put a drug into your system and it runs through your bloodstream and goes up to your brain, it changes things. And so, lo and behold, surprise, surprise, I can talk about things I couldn't talk about before. Or I can pick a fight when before I was a little bashful about it. So this is the thing that happens that makes that regular person that's holding down those emotions that they actually need to work on, it makes them blow up. And if you are that person, the people around you don't deserve that. So if that's happening, you need to know. I would love for you to think about this. It was never their fault. I did not understand that it was never their fault. Now, could they be a part of the problem? Yes, because if he started it, I would finish it. And I felt like that was some kind of empowerment for me. I was going to fight if he fought. And actually, when I got sober, it was so disheartening, because I got sober and the fight stopped. And he was still drinking. For 8 months after I got sober, he was drinking alcoholically. But in our home, the fight stopped. So I was talking to people because I was like, no way I was the root of all that evil. It was not all my fault that we fought in our house like we did. And when I say fought, we fought to the point where police would come to our home. We fought to the point where we damaged property, where kids were scared of us and hiding out in different places of the home. That's how we fought. And so when that stopped, when I stopped drinking, what did that make me think? It made me think that I was the problem. And so when I took that to people, it was explained to me kind of like, if one person stops, it makes it kind of ridiculous for the other person to keep going at it, going at it, going at it. And if they do, basically, kind of they cross the line and they're just an asshole. But if they don't, it doesn't mean that it's all your fault. It means that part of the problem was poking the bear. And on both sides, because I live with an alcoholic and I was an alcoholic, we had a lot of bear poking going on. So back to the instincts. You know what would happen to me even in sobriety? I met my husband now, we've been married almost 30 years. I met him in sobriety and he was very early sober. And it took us 7 years before we could get married. Now that's a very long time. But it kind of is a testimony to the fact that drinking is not the problem. Drinking is what we pour on the problem so we don't have to deal with the problem. And so there was still a lot of anger. There was still a lot of resentment. There was still a lot of insecurity. And, when it came to sexual stuff, it was, off the wall, unhealthy. So in our sobriety, we had to deal with all of those things one by one until we could become healthy enough that each of us would consider actually inviting the other into their life for a lifetime. And sometimes people get married and they don't do any of that. But that was one of the assets of being in a program, being around people that were helping me to see the truth about my life. I was willing to become more healthy before I invited somebody into my life. In fact, my mentor said to me, you really want a relationship, but you know what? Here's what I want from you. Here's what I want for you, Cathy. I want you to be totally 100% okay with who you are and love who you are and how your life is going. And then you're going to invite somebody in because they add to the beauty of your life. Isn't that a wonderful way to choose a partner? Isn't that what we want for our kids and the people that we love? To choose somebody because they add to our life. Not because they make me whole, not because they think I'm beautiful, not because they are financially going to support me for the rest of my life, but because they add to what I already have. And what I already have is enough. So I had a lot of work to do. And believe me, even though we were both sober, we could deal a lot with jealousy. We could deal a lot with financial insecurity. There were a lot of things where those instincts were still very raw. And I needed to do work to see why. What was it about me? What insecurity did I have? What did I need to work on from the past or the present that made me come unglued when he was talking to another woman? And when you're drinking and that kind of thing happens with your partner, you know, and you have a problem with jealousy, I mean, all bars down is like fight is on, and all I had to do was pour another drink on it, and you know, I wasn't worried about what my reaction was. So anger was very, it was a very like thing that ran parallel to my drinking, because before I started drinking, I had a problem with anger. So if you have a partner that's spending too much money and you want to, you know, get really angry about that, there's some problem with your financial insecurity. If you have a partner that doesn't do enough or does too much or isn't who you want her or him to be sexually, then you need to look at your own sex life, the way you have maneuvered your sex life from the time that you were young. There are, you know, it's like, you think, I don't want to work on myself. Who wants to work on themselves? But everything that has any value in our life, we maintain. We maintain our homes. I maintain my car. I maintain myself. And it's like, I don't want to work on myself. I don't want to work on what's up here so that what comes out from there, which everything comes out from here. You know, my thoughts are my actions and my actions are my life. So when I speak like to a group of people that are just like barely off the drug, barely, you know, free from the alcohol in a hospital environment, I will say who you are today is a result of every bad decision you made. At your worst, at your bottom, where you're willing to start over. Every decision you ever made piled one on top of the other, or the decisions that you refused to make because of where you were at and what you didn't want to do, those decisions that were made for you because of omission, that is who you are today. You're a culmination of that. Who I am today is the result of starting there and making every right decision I could. I started at the same place, ground zero, and making every right decision that I could. And one on top of the other, they gave me the best life I could have ever hoped for. And it didn't take forever. It didn't take forever. I had a lot of good stuff happening in the first year, and the second year, and then the third year, even in the first month. And then when I say I waited 7 years to get married to that guy, we are happily married at almost 30 years. So the things that I did because it was the best way. I started to believe what other people were telling me. And I started to do things the right way. And then the gifts that I received, the good life that I received from doing that, was a life that I never could have dreamed of. I couldn't have written it down if they would have said, you know, when I started going around recovery people and asking for help, if they would have said, hey, write it out, girlfriend, tell me what you want. If I would have been given that back today, it would be a fraction of what I've been given by doing the work that I've done. So the anger, it's an ugly, ugly thing. You know, some people get drunk and they're nicer, and we'll talk about that later. And some people get drunk and their inhibitions go down, and you know, you want your wife to get drunk because you like her when she's a little tipsy. No, anger isn't like that. When we get drunk and we have angry tendencies already, it's just, you know, this time from our childhood, our teens, our 20s, whatever, where we have put a lid on anger. And it's like alcohol allows us to take that lid off. And God help you if you're around and you have to deal with me, because it will feel like it's all about you. It will feel like you did something. I will make you think you made me angry, but it isn't true. Please hear that. It isn't true. Don't take my anger on and think you need to change and you need to do this and you need to do that. You know what you need to do? You need to work on yourself and protect yourself from the angry alcoholic. You need to take steps back. If that anger has gotten like frog in the pot of hot water, frog in the pot, you throw a frog in boiling water, he'll jump out to save his life. You put a frog in warm water, a pan of warm water, and turn the heat up slowly, 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 and he will boil to death. He won't move. And that is what happened in my first marriage. How did it happen that I was with this angry alcoholic and I just got angrier, more angry, more angry? It was frog in the pot. It was like, oh, first you just back away from me. Then you like tell me to be quiet. And then you like push me out of your way. And then you're like cussing at me. And then you slap me in the face. And I wish that was the worst of it, but it isn't. Because it happens gradually. And gradually we get used to whatever is happening in our home or with that, heavy drinker in our relationship. And if we go back to the beginning, it doesn't have to be physical abuse to be a red flag. If we go back to the beginning and this person is quite different than they were when we first got together with them, and it's not a good thing, and drinking has become a gradual, increasing part of that, then it's time to just wake up. It's time to take a look at things. It's time to protect yourself and the people you love in your life. And for that person who is angry and who is feeling like, ooh, what she's saying sounds a little bit familiar to me, you need to know it is actually on the outside worse than you think. And by that I mean we are meaner than we think. We are uglier than we think. And a lot of times our drinking will take us over to a blackout, whether you know it or not, and you're functioning and your partner thinks you're totally normal and you know what you said to her last night and you don't. And she's treating you a whole different way the next day because of what you said, but you don't know what it was. So our anger hurts whether we know it or not, whether that person, and who is gonna face that angry person the next day and tell them what they said? It's like that poking a bear again. It's like, who wants to do that? We wanna say, it's your responsibility. You didn't tell me what happened, No, it's really not. Our drinking and the consequences of our drinking is our responsibility. And at some point, we just have to step up and take charge. It's not fun. It's not right. Our drinking is no longer fun, and it's not right what the consequences are doing to the people around us or ourselves. So if you're an angry alcoholic, if you're living with an angry, heavy drinker, please take stock. Be honest. Write down the changes from here to there. And see if there isn't something that you can do to turn that around. You aren't gonna change that angry alcoholic. You aren't gonna. But you know what? In early sobriety, I stepped back. And by stepping back at whatever point you are with somebody that is angry, it's gonna be a positive thing. It allows you to show up as the person you wanna be. When I was angry and cussing in front of my kids, throwing things, that isn't who I wanted to be. That isn't who I, was taught to be. That isn't at my heart, the Cathy that I wanted to show up as. And stepping back from that and allowing that person to do what they do and suffer the consequences, that was the beginning of my solution. So thank you for listening. Please subscribe, follow, and if you can, share a little of this information so that we can break down that ignorance that's out there about alcohol, alcoholism, heavy drinking, and where it might lead, and we can be part of that solution. Thanks.